All right. Welcome to Citizen Assembly Thunderdome, where we test ideas and hone debate skills in a real-life social political arena with a goal of holistic balance. If you'd like to participate, find out how in our podcast description. Let's start with a round of introductions for our panel. We've got about 30 seconds apiece to tell our listeners what's on your mind in the moment. I'll start. I'm Staci Gustafson. My major focus is holistic community problem solving, and what's on my mind in the moment is this topic. I can't wait to learn about this hot topic from our panelists. Next, we have Cezary Jurewicz, the creator of Egora. Thank you for joining us today. And today is quite a milestone, and maybe you can tell us about that, Cezary, when you also tell us what's on your mind in the moment.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Staci. Today is a very exciting day. It's essentially celebrating 1 year of publishing Egora, and January 13th, technically in Europe. Even though today's the 12th, it's already January 13th over there. And so I guess tomorrow I'm going to be celebrating by taking a day off from Citizen Assemblies. So now just exciting times. That's all and just looking to push forward, you know.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Cezary. And Cynthia Leonard, she is the co-creator of Egora. So happy to have you here today, Cynthia. So,
well, thank you so much, Staci.
Please tell us what's on your mind in the moment.
My name is Cynthia Leonard, and I am one of the organizers at Egora. And the thing that is on my mind in the moment is to love aggressively and absurdly. Just love every person you come in contact with and share it over and over and over. That's it.
I love it. So it's working already, Cynthia. Thank you very much. Kevin, what is on your mind in the moment?
On my mind on the moment is, just got my eyes on the news and very interested to see we're very fertile grounds that seeds can be planted that we're in now. So I'm kind of glued to the news.
Very good. Thank you very much. So glad to have you here. I know that this is your first time in the Thunderdome, so thanks for joining us.
Just real quick, in the interest of full disclosure, I think everyone should know that Kevin is Canadian.
Yes, Kevin is joining us from Canada. And next we have Daniel.
Yes, it says.
Go ahead, Kevin.
As it says right on my name right there.
That's right. Canada.
Hey everyone, Dan Twedt, Thousand Oaks, California, KK6 VDR, extra class ham, and two-time candidate for local city council because I love quality preferencing and quality progress. And I think we're seeing a convergence of cryptocurrency and sovereign identity and choice making. And they better be done by open source ways because you wouldn't like the alternative. So qpon.info is where we're developing that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Can't wait to see all of that come together. It's very interesting. Thank you. And we have Ramses, and she is also joining us from Canada. And Ramses, please tell us what's on your mind in the moment.
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Ramses. My internet is very unstable. I don't know why. I'm sorry about that. What I have in mind, I was just having a coffee chat with a friend in Montreal. And now I'm really seriously thinking about going back to school, not necessarily university, but I mean a college to get a diploma in network administration. And that's it.
Wow, that is big.
Yeah, I need to think about it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for being with us again this week. And next we have Tommy. Tommy, please tell us what's on your mind in the moment. Oh, you're muted.
Messed up my swag. No, I was playing. No, my name is Tommy. I live in Kokomo, Indiana. And in the moment, I am focused on global healing and community empowerment.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Love to have you here. All right. So next, thank you very much. Let's move on to today's presentation. Today, I am presenting my idea on incel violence, which has been written up to share with others in Egora, the worldwide stock market of ideas at egora-ilp.org. Egora is an online platform where people from around the world can turn their ideas into policy to build a better world. I'll start screen sharing my idea from my Egora profile. Okay. The excerpts from the following article are offered as evidence for the complete idea outlined here. The views in the article do not necessarily represent the views of Egora or those discussing it. I was introduced to the topic of incels, or involuntary celibates, by this article, and I was inspired to do some problem solving. Here is an excerpt from that article. I have the site to the article in my idea if you would like to view the entire article. Quote, "The busy bees at the media have been highlighting how dangerous incels are, often linking them to the manosphere. These journalists fail to mention that incels have either outright rejected manosphere ideas, especially when concerning game, or have been inoculated against its teachings by their own media colleagues. Incels are killing solely because they are failing to bond romantically or sexually with women in an intensely competitive sexual market that constantly rubs sex and nudity in their faces. The solution is rather simple. Give them free sex from whores." It's first helpful to determine the basic profile of an incel. Typically, he does not have a hands-on masculine father teaching him the ways of life and women. He was teased in school, though not aggressively bullied, and has few friends. He is not good in sports or any other activity that would help give him a sexy aesthetic. He has no skills beyond programming or playing video games. His educational upbringing taught him that any display of masculine behavior is harmful to females, which he has internalized to his own detriment. More severely, he is introverted and has practically no ability to talk to females or attract them. An incel primarily wants a loving relationship with an attractive woman. Secondly, he wants sex with any woman. A male who gets laid but doesn't experience love may be depressed or unhappy, but he's unlikely to possess the urge to kill. The ones who do end up killing have received neither relationships nor sex. They feel utterly forsaken by society. To remind society that they do in fact exist, they resort to getting attention in the only way they know how, killing. Shooting up people is the same for an incel as a female uploading a perfect selfie. It's a way of saying, please recognize my existence and validate me for it. I therefore advocate for a government program called Complementary Heterosexual Affections Directive, or CHAD. Incels will be given a mobile QR code for a complimentary legalized sex session every 6 months, a time interval that would outright eliminate their urge to kill. The whores that are a part of this program would be given special training to make the incels feel special by calling them handsome, powerful, and confident, compliments they have never heard in their lives. The whores would rock their worlds to such an extent that the incels will patiently wait to live in freedom another 6 months to fornicate again. The details of the CHAD program would be simple. First, the government would provide an online questionnaire that incels take to qualify for the program. It would not be too strict. If a man hasn't been laid in at least 6 months and wants a free whore, it's better for society to provide it for him to dampen his rising urge to be noticed through a mass shooting. Whores would apply to the program and work from home or in a designated government brothel that is placed in high population areas. After a sexual experience, the incel would give his government whore a rating on a 1 to 5 star system. Whores who ever dipped under 3 stars would be eliminated from the program. An easier and cheaper solution than the CHAD program is to teach men game, particularly the Roosh program. It instructs an incel to hit the gym, read some books, build up social experience, stop being a wimp, and finally embrace the masculinity that has been smothered for so long. That is the end of this article excerpt. I offer this article as an illustration of the type of thought processes we need to address, containing blatant misogyny and other maladaptive thought and emotional processes, in my opinion. I believe the solution cannot be addressed simply. I believe it is caused by the failure of society to champion family and close community, which includes a safe and healthy environment on all levels, such as land, shelter, work, and governmental environments. The solution proposed here is to provide healthy alternatives to society's dysfunctions, such as change our goal of profit above all else, combined with a hypersexualized society, sex sells, into a universal goal of happy, healthy families and communities. Implement multiple initiatives such as early education, re-education, health, counseling, infrastructure, community support, etc. Provide appropriate role models and appropriately designed avenues for young masculine expression. Provide easy access to relationship information and counseling. Provide avenues of healthy interaction for young people so they are not learning about relationships through online hookup websites as if they are dating or matchmaking sites. So that is the presentation of the idea. Now let's measure the panelists' initial agreement with this idea. And I'd like to ask for a show of hands, and please keep your hands raised for counting. I'm going to call out the names and write them down so we can compare if it's the same before and after the deliberation. So please raise your hand if you agree with this idea. We have Daniel, Ramses, Cezary, and me. So that's 4 out of 8 of us. Thank you very much. I know because this is, or does anybody, again, a show of hands, let's measure your support in Egora right now. Do you plan on supporting this or support it right now? Show of hands, please, and keep your hands up so I can count you. We have an from Cynthia. And we have an agreement of support from Ramses. All right, thank you very much. Okay, the floor is open for debate. I always have some initial comments, but let's see if anybody else would like to start. And you can write hand up in the chat. Let's see, I saw Cynthia first. Cynthia, would you like to start us out? And then we've got Daniel.
Well, the idea is not without historical evidence. I am curious as to know what you mean by re-education, and would that be something that would be mandatory? Because that generally doesn't end too well when people start talking about re-educating people. So can I get some clarity on that, please?
Absolutely not mandatory. And by re-education, well, first of all, I talk about early education so that we're teaching our young children early about healthy relationships. And the re-education would be for those people who are having a difficult time and self-identify as incels, and hopefully provide them with options other than what they have, which doesn't seem like much.
So in essence, what you're, I'm sorry, I spoke out of turn.
No, I was waiting, go ahead.
So in essence, what you're saying is turn them into better people, better versions of themselves, so that it's unnecessary. Is that the final goal?
So that what's unnecessary?
Whores, so that whores are unnecessary.
Yes, I think that's a really good summation. Thank you. Okay.
Well, this article is like that original article. I think it's a joke. I mean, it's hilarious when I read it. Like, this is funny.
I'm so sorry. I think Daniel was ahead of you.
All right, go for it, Daniel.
Yeah. First of all, I think they prefer the term sex workers. Whores is pretty triggering language there.
That's a part of the joke. That's a part of the joke. Okay, go on.
Okay, that's point number one. Point number two is humans are a pair bonding oriented species. We've been in our modern form for about 350,000 years, okay? And if you look at the great apes, we are only 1.5% different in terms of our DNA from the nearest primate, which is the bonobo chimp. And during most of that long pair bonding human culture period, we lived in hunter-gatherer situations of about 20 individuals. The men would go out and hunt. The women would gather and care for the young. And more than 20, things would get unstable. You've got alpha, beta, male pack dynamics and things. So I'm not saying we could or should go back to that, but it might work. Maybe we need to have little communities of 20 interdependent people, and probably you wouldn't get incel problems and things like that. I mean, the alienation of modernity is definitely leading to the shooting up of random strangers idea. And it's a really, fraught topic, because there's also the MGTOW movement. You guys know about that? Men going their own way. These are guys that have had, bad experiences. They've been screwed over by the court system. They've been screwed over by, bad relationships where they got dragged through, and they're just fed up with it. They're only going to pair bond temporarily, maybe for dating, maybe just for sex. But, the amount of men out there that it's a really growing movement, men going their own way. They even have a little symbol. It's like a road sign, upward line with a little arrow pointing off. So it's kind of a joke symbol, but so that's part of it. And the manosphere, I hadn't even heard the term manosphere, but you hear terms like toxic masculinity, right? But where's the toxic femininity? You never hear that term, right? And why are the family law courts universally incredibly biased toward women in the family law cases? So these are all factors that I think have caused the incel phenomenon. And they're not all involuntary celibates. Some of them are voluntary celibates, probably like with the men going their own way movement. So those are some thoughts for now. Someone else can go.
I think the reason you don't hear about toxic femininity is because everybody's too busy loving it too much. I mean, you see it all over Facebook. The toxic femininity are all the boobs and ass that you see on social media. So that's toxic, but everybody loves it. So I think that's an interesting problem that we have to acknowledge. Anyways, were you finished, Daniel? I just wanted to throw that in there since you brought it up. But I think this whole thing is it's a joke, really. That I read, this seems like a comedy piece from like Playboy or something, or one of those comic relief pieces. And especially with the language that they use, like the fact that they use the word whores rather than prostitutes or something else. It's supposed to be charged. It's supposed to be. It creates. It carries a heavy meaning to it, and it's almost like it's a social caste type of statement. The way that they talk about incels, it's as a concept. Whores are also a concept, but I think one of the other things that were the comedy of this shows is I don't think that this is realistic. I don't think that the incels necessarily would actually go for that. I think that's the whole talk about whores is really the comedy piece. I don't think incels want whores. I think they actually want quality women. So the whores would not be sufficient. I think they want opportunities to meet actually quality women rather than well, junk food, let's say. And I thought I had another thought, but if somebody wants to comment, please go ahead.
We have Cynthia and then Ramses up after Cynthia.
I was just going to speak to what Cezary said. I believe that there are people murdering each other willy-nilly because they're not getting any sex. No, I don't believe that. But I do know, I happen to know for other reasons that there are large groups of men who feel like they've been kind of kicked out of the social circle, and he's correct. The problem is you know, they want that life partner, they want that connection, and they don't know what to do to get it. And I would say a long way in going toward that would be to just make our entire society better as a whole and put us all on an equal playing field. And I would also state that I think it would be appropriate for us to change what we consider to be gender norms. Like for many years, it's always been the men who had to make the first move. It's always been the men who had to approach. And some men prefer it that way, but then there's a whole group of men that would just take a deep breath and go, oh, thank God, I don't have to worry about that anymore, you know? So that's just my feeling on it. I'm done.
Thank you, Cynthia, very much. Ramses, you're up next.
Yeah, sure. So there are two issues related to this discussion that I wanted to highlight. But before that, just wanted to comment on the masculinity thing. So the problem here is some people just want the society, you know, to follow specific norms that they like, and don't, you know, like for example, for men, they shouldn't show their masculinity because they trigger us, for example. That's why I really feel that the term toxic masculinity is very unfair. Every man has the right to express themselves the way they like, and woman has, you know, what the contract between me and you is law, regulation, not your masculinity. I have nothing to do with your masculinity. Go to the gym and build your muscles and show them in the streets. I shouldn't really feel, you know, like uncomfortable because of that. That's why I feel that this is unfair to men. Now, the point that I wanted to bring up is regarding the prostitution thing. I used to work as a sex worker just for fun, as a hobby. I really wanted to try. I was like, why not I give it a try? And I did that before they did. And no, Cynthia, I don't mean, yeah, I'm not relating to what you said. I'm just saying in general, the society is unfair to men. So I did it during the summer, and guess what? I have seen a lot of married people who are also looking for sex workers, you know, and at the same time, I learned a lot from them. I really feel that the government shouldn't just legalize sex work, but should actually support it. We should have organized programs and organized escort houses, you know, supported by the government.
You know, Ramses, sorry, I gotta let you know. I can't believe you won't support the idea for the universal basic income, but you want to give people money for sex. I mean, come on. Like you say that the other one is socialism. How is this? This is absurd socialism, what you're talking about. No, I mean,
I think sex is more important than money. But anyways, yeah, for sure.
We're getting sex.
Well,
did you miss that? Is that a Canadian dollar bill? This is and especially so if available.
We should have a sex tax.
Hang on a second, guys. Cezary, could you please say what you said again? Because I think it got a little bit lost.
Oh, the part about money being for sex? Yeah, I mean, it says that right on the dollar bill. We say that in America. I think you should say that in Canada too. I thought you did. I thought everybody knew that.
So I agree with you that capitalism is capitalism. When government supports escort houses, I don't necessarily mean financially, but at least we need some community awareness work. That's what I mean here. So we should let everyone be aware that escort is just like any other job. Okay, and when it becomes legalized, organized, and protected, and of course, the government is the one that should protect escort, then in that case, it will really be easy for incels to meet escorts, on a regular basis and pay them as well. And here's a point that I want to mention. Sex work is not just about sex. There is a lot of counseling involved, and that's what I learned. So when I meet my customer, I'm not just providing my body for them. I'm providing positive energy. I am also letting them know about their features. I have seen a lot of nice people who just have lack of self-confidence and other problems. Other people who just have problems with their wives, And this is another thing that I really want. Maybe we can create an idea on Egora about. The idea of that everyone has their other one, that they will meet someday in life. This is not true. And I have, for example, one of my customers told me that it's a period of 7 years, This is a maximum where you can stay with someone. And then both of you realize that you are not interested in each other anymore. That's why I want all incels to know that there's nothing called, in my opinion, of course, there is love, there's intimacy, there is attraction, but this doesn't have to be with a specific person. I am myself polyamorous, and I think that this works very well, much better than these one-on-one relationships. Go ahead, Staci. Thank you. Sorry for taking much time.
No, that was very, very interesting, insightful. The reason why I do this is for different opinions like that. I love that. Thank you very much. I wanted to say, I like what you're talking about as far as the sex counselor aspect of the I don't know what you said, the sex worker. That would be, I think, a beneficial addition to society if we had sex counselors. But the idea that, hey, if people have got money, why don't we have legalized prostitutes? And I would say that there are indigenous societies that don't have a word for prostitution. It doesn't exist. It doesn't help people if it's just money for sex. And I wish we could remove that word from our language because it doesn't exist anymore. But I do believe that the idea of sex counselors, which fills in that gap, would be very beneficial. And then Daniel, I saw your hand up, but I don't know if that is from before or a new one. And then we have
No, I actually wanted to jump in and respond to Cezary with a quick comment. Number one, how do you know that this is a satirical proposition that the originator thought of? So that's one. Do you know that? Or are you just assuming it?
I can answer that. Actually, let me answer that real quick. So, because there are excerpts from the article in this idea, but there's more to it, because the article talks about, first of all, the whole idea. It's funny that, that taxes would pay for, for people's prostitutes, but it doesn't, the article doesn't actually say general taxes. Like, I think like attractive women or women on Tinder, like all the women who swipe right with somebody, that they're the ones who would pay for that. Like, I mean, it goes into the absurd. That's why when I read the idea, yeah.
Okay, that was left out. So yeah, that is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But number two, there is a organization called ASECT, and that is the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists. They've been around since 1967. They have 2,500 members in the United States. It's a thing you can get a certificate in. It's no different than any other kind of mental health counseling. Really, sex therapy is a valid thing. And you guys are just incredibly behind the times to think it's a big joke and call them whores and prostitutes and stuff. I'm really ashamed to see this kind of backward thinking. Okay, and that's one thing. When I was talking about the 20 band, that we have a history of being humans for the past 350,000 years, a band of like 20. The traditional thing is at the full moon, you have an orgy. Everyone's making babies with everyone else. And then the whole community raises them as the tribe's children. There's none of this, oh, that's my kid. That's your, you don't know who the kid is because everyone was having a full moon orgy. Okay. And that worked out great for a third of a million years. We weren't having wars. We weren't having incel shoot 'em ups as far as we know. So let's just put that out there. End of rant. Someone else can go.
Is that something like Clan of the Cave Bears, those books?
Probably. But yeah, I mean, that's the pre-dominator model. When we had partnership societies, before agriculture. Agriculture was what really got us into this standing armies and toxic.
And they didn't know where babies came from either. So we've come a little ways from that, but interesting ideas. And I love the idea of community. Thank you, Dan.
Oh, one other thing. When a group of women are together, they all start to synchronize their menstrual cycles. No one knows why that happens. It's probably part of quantum conscious quarks fields or something.
Yeah, my lesbian friends do that all the time.
Thank you. We have Tommy next.
Staci, Cynthia. Oh wait, no, that's right. Never mind. You are both post-menstrual, so we can't really ask you whether your cycles have synchronized all this time that we've been working together. Ramses, I think you also are out of that group. So we cannot. With the current sample present, we are not able to determine the truth of that claim. So I'd still like to see some more evidence.
Maybe there's an incel, complement to that. Like all men all, get horny at the same time. I don't know.
I actually researched that once, and there was no medical evidence to support the last time I researched it. I don't know if that's changed in the past 5 years, but there's no actual evidence to support that claim.
Are you calling it an old wives' tale?
Okay, it's Tommy's turn.
Okay, so man, I came up with all kinds of ideas now since everybody talked. I was like, let me see. I keep on wanting to keep it short, but no, yeah, I definitely agree with the bonding factor. I don't believe sex suits the human being at all, just by itself, just from personal experience. I don't believe there's any. I believe it basically from experience, it breeds insecurity. I mean, using a woman for sex, I mean, if obviously she don't care and she just wants to let somebody have sex with her to make them somewhat feel good in that temporary moment, but it doesn't fix the problem though. Sex has never fixed my problems. I mean, even when I wanted to kill the whole world, even just recently, because my divorce, it didn't solve my problems at all, having sex with other human beings. I mean, I thought that would do the right thing for me. It's the same situation as the incel is what we're talking about, it sounds like. But yeah, but it didn't help at all. I had to go a different way. I had to go a different route of just forgiveness, and learning those core principles, not by, letting somebody have sex with me to make me feel better, no matter how positive energy they had, Ramses. It doesn't help. I mean, there's a bonding factor that's there to bring healing. There's community that's involved to bring healing, not just, paying somebody to have sex with you. But that's to keep it short. I mean, I think that's good enough. That sums it up.
Thank you very much, Tommy. You don't have to keep it that short. The rest of us didn't, so.
All right. But it did from a personal experience. It's never helped. I mean, I've gone through my whole life trying to medicate wounds. I mean, like I literally wanted to be a hitman all the way through up through high school. That's why I always told the teachers, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or what do you want to be when you graduate? What do you want to be?" I said, "I want to be a hitman." I didn't think anything different of it. That was my preferred career. So then,
Did it have anything to do with what they're talking about for incels?
What?
did it have anything to do, you're wanting to kill people, did it have anything to do with what they're talking about the issues are for incels?
That was based on lack of relationship, lack of love, lack of all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I was really angry. Mom didn't love me. My mom and I said we hated each other our whole life. I threatened to kill her. She threatened to put me in prison my whole life. I didn't have my father around. I had bad relationships with women because of my violent nature, and then also getting the wrong women who I thought were the bad girls, or who were the girls that beat up boys, as I mentioned before. Yeah, I had a wrecked life, and I didn't feel like I was deserving love. I didn't feel like I deserved the love at all. And I just was just always thinking about homicide, always thinking about it, always wanting to do it. That's why I joined the military. I joined the military to take my anger out, because I wanted to just massacre people and just use explosives and kill people. That was my drive. Having sex never fixed it.
That is absolutely perfect. You're the perfect person. That's
Right.
Thank you for those insights.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can't disagree with anything you said. So I think that's a lot of insight. Some of that I can relate, not necessarily all of it, but I'll leave it at that. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I wanted to say, I largely agree with this idea. But like the big picture of it, not really the details. But because, I think what's really missing is the community and the connections and opportunities. But it's not about sex, and I think that's part of the humor of this, is like to make it's such a simplistic solution that that's the funny thing is that supposedly the simplistic, the ridiculous solution can solve this big problem, but it's not about that. So it really is about the community and opportunities and, like I said, connections. And then the question is, so how do we actually solve that? Is it going to be through government programs, or is it going to be through something else? One other thing, because I don't know what the statistics are, or who you would actually call an incel, but I would expect that a lot of what you would say are incels, or especially from the news, the ones who actually did something horrible, something violent, who actually lashed out on society, they were probably above average intellectually, individuals who are above average intellectually. And I think really this comes from the fact that people don't have, once they get out of school, once they, because when you're in school, they put you together with other, grade school, high school, even college, they put you together with people. You have all those opportunities to connect with others. But it's also, that environment also has a lot of bullying, a lot of things that there's a lot of shame involved, a lot of social hierarchy that also develops, and so people don't really learn how to. So some people do become well socialized, but some people never have that chance, because there's always that pressure to be cool and all that. Speaking from personal experience, the way I personally did it is by just doing math and sciences, and by excelling in those things. Like, that was my thing. That's how I was cool, is because I found something I was good at, and I just try to excel at it, and that's what gave me my level of comfort. But a lot of other people don't have that. I was great at math, and I was the best in math in my high school. It was kind of a competitive thing. I had fun with that. But what about other people who are not as good in math? I mean, I'm sure they can find something else, but so still, it's difficult. It's really difficult. And some people never actually even then they don't make those connections. And once they get out of school, they lose those opportunities. They go get a job. Maybe they're not working a job where they can easily make connections. With their colleagues, with their coworkers, they can't necessarily really find those connections. And then what do they have left, really? I mean, sure, there might be some clubs, but I mean, by clubs, like, I don't know, like social clubs, but how many people really frequent those? Typically what's left are drinking places, are bars and nightclubs. And those are not the places that high IQ males necessarily excel at. Those are places that have more of their pulse on the social culture rather than on the intellectual culture. That is not where intelligent people, like I said, thrive. So where are these people supposed to go? And to actually find women that they appreciate. So I think we are definitely lacking that in society, and so I think building communities where people can connect with others, that really is the solution. Anyways, I'm going to stop there. Your call.
I agree. Thank you very much. Yep. Ramses, you're next.
Yeah, thanks. So thank you so much, Tommy, for what you have shared with us. Yeah, that's really insightful. I just wanted to mention that maybe this is not for every incel, like sex is not a problem of everybody, but there are people who are really looking for these romantic moments that professional sex workers can give. And I think there is a difference between casual dating and meeting with a professional sex worker, because professional escorts really know what they're doing. And as I said before, I didn't just provide, like sex. I wouldn't simply open my door to the person and just lay down on the bed. This is not the case at all. But actually what we do, we provide friendships. We talk, we chat, we have coffee together, we have beer together. I sometimes I often wine and beer and whiskey. And also it's like spending your time with your friend, by the way. And you take time until you find your, like the professional sex workers that can work with you. You will not be able, to have this time with anybody. Just like friendships, you cannot be a friend with anybody, right? So I really appreciate where you're coming from, Tommy, and I feel you, because many of us have had these moments when you feel that you're lacking connection, but I really believe that for some people, maybe professional sex counseling may be helping. And I'm not sure, but I have seen that in my experience. And finally, if nightclubs are not for intellectual people, then that means that I'm not intellectual, because I am a nightlife person and I used to spend my life, in bars and nightclubs. So if this is the case, then that means that I'm not intellectual, right? So maybe there's kind of, I don't know, but maybe the implication here is not very necessary. As I said, for me.
We were talking about men. We're talking about men. As far as nightclubs.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's very good. Very, very good to hear that I'm not a man. Thank you.
I have my hand up then for a little bit here. Ramses, you were talking about being a sex worker and having these positive relationships with the people that you're engaging with. But the article itself is talking about something that I think is very, very different. And I understand that this person is not representative of all incels, or maybe even a valid viewpoint of them, but this person is getting a lot of people that are talking about this and as if what he's saying is valid. And when he's talking about he says whores a lot, and I use that term just for the emphasis of the article, but I really don't like that word. But he's talking about hot chicks that better make the guy feel good, or they don't get enough stars and they're out of the program. And I just feel like it's a very, very different dynamic that I think may be very prevalent in the industry. There are people doing this that are doing it because they don't want to. It's just the only opportunity that they have, and they're not bringing a lot of good vibes to it. But what you're talking about sounds like a great thing, I think, for there to be, and I would not call that a prostitute or a whore. I would call that sex therapy. Thank you. That's all I have to say. Okay, we've got about 2 minutes before we want to move to closing remarks. Is there anybody else that has any final comments before we move to closing remarks?
Well, I just want to bring up the point about like who's going to pay for it. I think the article brings it up in a really comical way. I don't think, and you know, you have to consider this. I'm actually curious how the situation differs in the United States and Europe, because it actually the social dynamic is very different, and in many ways the two societies are comparable. I don't think Europe has as much of a problem with this as the United States. So a lot of just or the American continent. I think that's also something to consider. There's some things I don't want to say, but it's easier. I think it's easier to find quality women in Europe, let's put it that way, than in the United States.
Ooh, those fighting words.
Well, yeah, you know what? You would have to come with me on a trip, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Okay, now you have to describe for me what is a quality woman in Europe compared to the US.
Oh, I don't want to get into that.
You brought it up, baby.
I'm just saying, listen, I'm just saying that generally. I can tell you that because from personal experience, it's about 10 times easier to find quality women in Europe than it is in the United States.
Wow, you got to explain that. You just cannot leave it there. I'm sorry.
No, it's time for closing remarks. I think it's time to wrap this up.
Okay, all right. Closing remarks. You know what? Daniel would love to hear from Kevin if Kevin has anything he'd like to add.
No, actually, I'm not really feeling all that well, my friends. I'm just recovering back from the hospital a couple days ago. So I'm just sitting in on the call and just listening in for today. Thank you.
Well, we wish you the best.
I really appreciate everyone's. Thank you.
Yeah, you have all our good wishes, Kevin. I hope you feel better.
Absolutely.
Get well quick.
Okay, let's run through closing remarks. Daniel, would you like to start us out?
Sure. I think sex therapy, sex counseling, that's legitimate. You know, I did my renewal on my EBT, also known as food stamps. And Lisa mentioned, you know, you can get like free mental health counseling. You can get free legal services. You know, I mean, these are good. Every advanced society provides these kinds of baseline, you know, services. You know, I was even joking, you know, UBI could stand for Universal Basic Intimacy, you know. and oh, that was another question, real quick, Cezary, where does it say on the money about sex? I didn't get the reference. It's on the dollar bill. Where is that on the dollar bill?
Well, you know what? It's closing remarks time. I shouldn't be addressing that. But let me see before.
I'm going to forget. Just tell me real quick.
I'm going to try to go get my pants and get
so
my.
It's not on the dollar bill. You were just making some bizarro reference or something. I mean, come on. We don't need bizarro references that can't be like easily described. Anyway, I'd probably taken too much time. Oh, one other thing. There's a thing called Intelligence Squared, and they measure people's votes before the debate and after the debate. And it's a great way to see who got swayed because of the debate. We should consider doing something like that on the next Thunderdome. They use this.
Kind of doing that a little bit with the agreement with the idea and the support in Egora, but we can do an also, more of a debate.
But you want to see who got swayed by the content. You know, that's very useful to see who had the more effective presentation of their case.
Very good. Good idea. Thank you very much, Daniel. Okay, let's go to Cynthia. Closing remarks, please.
I am just so grateful for this conversation. Like, this was amazing. Tommy, oh my God, Cezary, Daniel, the person I believe who is Joy, Kevin and Ramses, like, wow, what a fantastic conversation. So I'm very grateful. Remember, there's a Citizens Assembly Women coming to a Sunday near you at 10 a.m. Please do join us. We also have Citizens Assembly intro meeting tomorrow that I will be hosting at 7 p.m. And we have a leadership meeting on Thursday that I will be in attendance for. So come join us. Come see us. Come on down.
Thank
so
you.
So much love and gratitude.
Sorry to step on your line there. Thank you so much, Cynthia. All right, let's go to Tommy. Closing remarks?
Yeah, I'd like to throw in there about this sex therapist thing. My closing remark.
Sure.
Basically, later on in life now, and after the whole situation with me and my ex-wife, I took on that little, I don't know what if you would call it, so-called enlightenment. Sorry to offend anybody about being a sex therapist. And I see it as an epic fail because basically you give a woman, basically to me, false hopes that you build this great relationship with her or however many. And the next thing you know, she can't find a man just like this man who's given her all this love vibe and positive energy to help her heal. And you let her down and just go ahead and reinforce insecurity all over again because a woman and her emotions gets attached. So that's just the way of the body, And so I don't see it as a success in the end of it, because now they have to go on. You build them up. They want someone like you now because you're giving them all the great reassurance and great relationship skills and everything that Ramses was talking about. And then they go on and they are trying to find something like that again, and they let themselves down. So the real solution to me with my closing remarks is community development. Develop community. They won't have to have that problem. You'll have a lot of healed people who are connected and bonded. They don't have to go on and have false hopes anymore. That's all.
Wow. Excellent point. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of your sharing tonight, Tommy. Wow. All right. Who's next? Let's go with Ramses next. Closing remarks, please.
Sure. So when I used to do that hobby job, I used to use this line as part of my advertisement. So I used to say that the problem of this continent, or North America, is lack of connection. People are not connected to each other. And also, even with the connections itself, they are weak, very weak. And people are feeling they are like very individualistic, It's very, like for a man, it's very odd to go to a girl and ask her to make out. So what we really need is connection. What we really need is to spend time with each other, spend time to hear each other, to listen to each other, and provide, that part of counseling. So even if it needs sex or sexuality, you have the energy to give it. You have the motive to give it, just for the person in order to heal them. And the point here, Tommy, is, in my opinion, so if there is, say for example, we have an incel woman, okay, that has problems. The solution to her problems does not depend on a very single man. There is no single man who will just suddenly show up and fix all her problems. I really believe that her problems are in herself.
I object. Just want to say that. Please continue.
Okay, so in my opinion, you need to work on your problems. Your happiness does not depend on each other. That's why I'm really calling to change casual norms. There is no one-on-one. It should be, there must be some multiplicity in connections. Don't make your happiness depending on one person. Date multiple people. You don't really need to date one person, and you don't have to spend your life with that person. It's really enough to, like, I know one of my gay friends in Montreal. in Ottawa. He has two wives and one husband. Okay. And he spends the time, like one day with this, one day with that, and one day for himself, etc. And it works very well. And they are all happy, and he's very open to if his wives want to date other people, he's very open about that. So the idea of waiting all your life for a single person, in my opinion, is the epic fail. And the job of sex workers is to teach people how to make relationships, how to build self-confidence in yourself. And you shouldn't be like, for instance, I used to get customers who are first-timers. And I remember one of them, the guy was very nervous, was very, very nervous. At the end, I told him, so how do you feel right now? And he was like, oh man, much, much better, finally that feel of insecurity is starting to diminish. So that's why I feel that this job is really, it's really helpful to help people build self-confidence, know how to build relationships, how to maintain them, and how not to depend your happiness on others, as I said for me.
Thank you so much. That I so enjoy your viewpoint. It is not something that we get every day. Thank you so much. I hope you come to every single meeting to enlighten us. And I think there's got to be our world has room for both you and Tommy's ideas here. I think that there are people for each of them. Cezary, do you have closing remarks for us, please?
Yeah, actually, I'm happy I'm following up right on what you just said, because that my point, closing remarks, really pertain to that. First of all, let me say that I'm looking at a $5 bill here, and it says, this note is legal tender for all debt, public and private. Private. How about you can pay for anything you want with that, as long as it's legal. And so, by the way, we have to be making more things legal rather than illegal. So we have that going. The other point I wanted to make, the main point is different strokes for different folks. Like a lot of these things that we're talking about, it's like trying to put all men into one basket and trying to put all women. Well, no, actually, some people are different, and like we don't really want. Culture is not a war. It actually, what we should not have one culture for everybody. We have to have this kind of develop this concept of multiculturalism. That's not like a culture of all cultures. It's actually having different cultures existing within the same society, where people, and of course, a lot of that culturalism is transferred, from one family generation to another one. But I think a lot of people need to get out of this mindset that they need to impose their culture on their children. I mean, they're very happy. They should be happy if their children perpetuate their culture, but maybe their children actually want to fit with some other different group. Like some people think they have to, Christians think they have to indoctrinate their children as Christians, but maybe they're going to be happier as atheists, which, well, actually, if they're rational, they would be. If they're irrational, then they'll be happy to stay Christians. But anyways, we shouldn't have this one size fits all, this one size fits all solution. So, we have to, and that actually takes work. It's going to take a lot of work to make sure that we're not trying to fight a culture war. Like our culture is the best one, and everybody should do things our way. No, we actually have to allow space to be created for people of a different culture, but we have to have that cross-cultural communication so that people who were brought up within one culture, they're like, oh, wait a minute, I could just go to another culture and within that same society and still. So that's going to take some work, and it's going to take some communication. So I just want to end with that. Thank you.
Hallelujah, Cezary. That was beautiful. That was inspired. I love all of that. Thank you so much.
But he said he disagreed with me. Oh, he didn't mention that in the remark.
All right. We have Joy here. She has not said anything yet, and I don't know if she's got any closing remarks for us, but let's see if she does. Give her a second here. Maybe not. Okay. Well, then let us go back and measure. Has anybody changed their minds? does anybody now, show me all the hands, keep them up. Who will support this idea in Egora? Anybody? Okay, we've got Daniel, Ramses.
I have added it to my ideological profile, by the way.
Oh, great. So just at the end, we had Cynthia, and wow, I lost Cynthia. Uh-oh.
Yeah. She was like
But
fluttering.
I gained Daniel, so yay.
Accuse Cezary.
I was only halfway there, Staci.
Okay. All right, so we have heard of our other events from Cynthia. Thank you very much. And I will close out the meeting with my remarks, and then we can open the floor to open discussion. This was fabulous. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was. Good job.
Oh my God, mind blowing, the ideas that came through from this. And again, I never know where we're going to go, and I love it every time. And I have a few other things left over. I hope somebody is going to stick around and we can talk about this a little bit further. One of those things is a little relationship or dating tip for guys. That's what I would like to add. And we'll have that in the second part of our recording. So again, thank you so much, guys. Lots of fun. I'm going to stop the recording now.